And we are live. Glory to God. Welcome to Sunday Night Live Bible Study. I'm your host tonight, Waylon Fortner, the Red Rooster. Doc Truman, Matt is not be able to be with us tonight, so I'll do my best to do some camera work, keep everything going smooth as I can. To my this way, we've got Brother Frank Wiley. Down below, we've got James Adams, and in the other corner, we've got Kylan Alrickson. God bless you guys. Thank you for being with us tonight. Everybody okay? Everybody good? Yeah, kind
Yes, sir.
of. Yeah. And
Just
Jamie's just what?
tired.
Yeah. We all need to wake up this evening. James Adams, I'm glad the camera angle is changed. James Adams has been with us for years, and we usually look up his nostrils, but tonight he's got the camera right in front of him. We appreciate that.
Please tell me
Um,
that.
okay. Um, Tonight we're going to talk about the tribulation a little bit. There's so many different.
It just looks like I got a bunch of chins.
Yeah, it looks like you got at least two chins, maybe three. Yeah.
The only
Um,
way I could do something about that is to,
I
you know,
I
just
don't know. I guess you could maybe a diet. No,
well,
I don't know.
I mean,
Um,
up close I look like Jabba
Just
the Hutt here.
raise the camera up a little bit and puts the angle a
yeah,
little higher.
There we go.
There you go.
yeah. You know, put the bottom of the camera just above your chin, and then it'll just get you from
I
here
got
up.
some Botox a couple years ago, but it didn't help.
Mm-hmm. Wow. All right. Um, the the tribulation we're going to talk about tonight. We've actually had Brother Miguel, which was not able to make it, and he'll pay for that tonight somewhere down the line. Brother Stephen, he's also not with us tonight, and he, I believe, voted. I'm not sure, but I think he voted for the topic. He'll also pay for that later. Billy Dill, I believe, was involved in voting for this subject, and he is also not with us tonight. So we're a little thin on the panel, but that's okay. They will pay for that later. Brother Frank, I'm going to throw you in front of the bus early. Um, in your opinion, and this is just, and nobody's, it's not like a big debate, we're just discussing it. In your opinion, when you hear the word the Great Tribulation, um, what do you think? Like, what is it that comes to your mind?
God's wrath coming down. He's going to pour out everything we deserve
Okay.
out. He's gonna let it fly for a bit. I think he's going to remove grace from the world for a while. And if you're not already
Hold
saved
on.
at
Whoa,
that
whoa.
point,
Slow down. I got to write this down. Hold on. So wrath's coming, and he's going to remove grace. Okay, go ahead.
and it's going to be an absolutely terrifying time. We're not going to know what to believe if we're not already founded in the Word. It talks about in the passages I was reading, specifically in Matthew, talks about watching out for deception. That there's going to be many that come and they try to say, here's the Messiah. Beware, don't go out into the wilderness, don't go here, don't go there. People are going
Okay.
to be performing signs and wonders that, and in order to try to deceive even the elect as to the validity of what's kind of going on, and God's going to let it happen. Um,
Does
and
the wrath get poured out? Is that on who's the wrath on in your opinion? You just mentioned that wrath was coming. Is that like on the whole world or
yeah,
who's it on? On the whole world?
I think it's going to
Wrath
be on the whole world as a
on the
whole.
world. Okay.
The rightful
Okay.
justice that we've earned as humans. God's going to
Is
let us see all that.
or is the church going to be here when the wrath is poured out on the world and the removing of grace? Will, in your opinion, will the church be here?
That's the $10 million question, Wayman.
Okay. So
I
so
hope
and
not. I hope
say
not.
again. You hope not.
I
Okay.
hope not,
Okay.
because it's going to be a time that's going to be terrifying. Um, it's going to challenge everything that we believe, and it's we're going to see things we've never even imagined in Hollywood. I think that are going to be with us and they're going to be allowed to be. Um,
So, and I don't want to speak for you. Is it safe to say that you're actually a pre-tribber then? Would be the church being removed before all this happens? I'm not speaking for you. I'm just asking.
there is, I don't have a solid opinion on that. I'm a hopeful pre-trib guy,
Okay.
but I don't believe so.
Okay.
I think that those of us that are here and are alive when God says it's time, we're going to get to
Okay.
see all those things. And then, I just hope that the time is, as the Matthew talks about, the time being shortened. Otherwise, none would survive. And I'm hoping it's not for a long enough time to where before Jesus comes back and says, "Okay, come on home," the rest of y'all are ready for the final judgment.
Okay. And then obviously, I'm just going to write down. You're obviously a future, um, right?
Yeah, I don't know that it, based on what and I'm not a Bible scholar at all. I've not spent a lot of time really like diving deep into this and reading
Right.
every opinion out there on it. And I know there's a lot of them out there and some very
Oh
well
yeah.
written ones. Um,
Right.
so I don't. There are some out there that say that the full tribulation's already kind of happened, and we're living in a post-tribulation kind of time, and we're just waiting now for the Messiah to come back. I've heard some people argue that point. I believe
Okay.
earlier you were talking that you think part of it may have already kind of happened.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
so I don't know. The world right now is probably crazier than I've seen in my lifetime already, and we're moving in deeper and deeper into just wild out thoughts, things that are going on. I'm worried about this AI stuff for what it might be
Yeah.
capable of and what it might actually be. I don't know that it is as helpful as everyone wants it to be. Um, some of the viewpoints that are becoming mainstream and popular are very
Sure.
anti-Christian value, anti-church, anti-good moral and
Right.
upstanding things, and a lot of stuff's gaining traction, and that's all kind of talked about as well in the New Testament that those times were going to happen. So the idea of generationally people said, "Oh, we're in the end times. Be ready. We're in the end times." It's really kind of feeling like we might actually be there. Now, whether
Okay.
that takes another 1,000 years or whether that is tomorrow, that's on God's time. But I think that the markers and the stage is really kind of advanced a little bit to kind of move in that
Okay.
direction.
So it's safe to say that Frank is a future wrath being poured out on the world. There's going to be a removing of grace during that time, and you're hoping, you're not saying that it's for sure or not, but you're hoping that the church is removed part of the pre-tribulation rapture. Am I safe
Yes,
to say
sir.
all that?
I'm
Okay.
hopeful. I'm hopeful.
Um, I'm not going to. Okay, Kylan, give me a kind of just in a big bag, just a real quick synopsis of what you think when you hear the word Great Tribulation. What do you think?
The two words "great tribulation" to me already passed back in the 60s, 70s AD when
Okay.
Jerusalem was sacked by Rome.
So you're saying that it's not future, it's past. And when who was it on? The world was it on? Who was it on? Like the whole world
It was
was it
on
on?
Israel at the time.
Okay. It's past on Israel. All right. Anything else?
I mean, there's going to be tribulation and persecution, but the great tribulation, the seven
What
years,
everybody talks about. Yeah.
yeah, the
Yeah.
7 years, that's already passed. It happened to Jerusalem, it happened to Israel back in the 60s and 70s AD when
Okay.
Titus and Vespasian came in there and sacked the temple, burned everything down.
Okay. So you're saying past, it happened on Israel. Pretty simple. Good. Jamie, what are you thinking? How's that TV program going? Pretty good?
I'm trying to watch us, and I'm trying to get my face looking right on this thing.
Oh,
And then I got mother in the background talking to a dog to run. I pretty much agree with Colin over there. Uh,
yeah. It's past past already happened. It was on Israel.
Yeah,
Okay.
but I like to get
Shortens.
Collins. Collins said something about something in the future. I like to get his take on that.
Get
He
Connor's
said
take on
something.
what in the future?
He said there was one in the future or something. So I just
Well, I
want
wasn't saying
clar.
that there is a tribulation in the future. I'm saying there's always going to be
Oh yeah,
tribulation and
I got you. I
persecution,
got. Yeah,
but
I
the
got you.
great tribulation's already passed.
Okay.
Oh,
And
okay.
matter of
I'm not
fact, we'll
trying to
just
say
put that on there.
sorry.
This, I know you probably can't see it, but I'm going to put great tribulation because that is what we're talking about. Okay. Do you guys want to read a little bit in Matthew 24? Now,
You
for
know,
those watching,
Frank
go ahead.
mentioned something there. Um, that the world is getting darker and darker. I agree with that. I do, as far as what we have seen in our lifetime, and I'm pretty sure my grandchildren, uh, they're born in this century or this decade, and then when as they go along, it'll get darker in their time.
Right.
But I believe the darkest time we ever had is when Jesus was born into this world, and it said there, what did it say? Gross darkness to people,
Yeah. Isaiah 60. Yeah.
and that's why it had to come, and uh, that was the tribute. That's the purpose. When he told Jerusalem the things that belonged to their peace,
Mm-hmm.
and they rejected it. How bad did they get? They killed him. They killed what God
Right.
offered.
Yeah. That's all that was left for them was tribulation after they rejected the peace.
Right.
So we'll just get that. So this is, I mean, the word great tribulation is in Revelations. It's in Matthew.
And don't get me wrong, the technology boom and all that, I know that's modern times because Daniel talked about that, about uh, knowledge shall increase at the time of the end. And I agree
Right.
with that part. And I do agree with what Frank said about the AI. Uh, yeah, it's a lot of this stuff is based on money right here. AI
Sure.
and this COVID, looking at it, everything was based on money. Uh, the way they it was about control, but ultimately in the end, it's about money and power.
Sure. Let's read it. Matthew 24. This is just so everybody watching gets an idea where the foundation of the Great Tribulation. Everybody goes to Matthew 24. It's even if you disagree on the subject, everybody goes to Matthew 24. So Matthew 24, first verse. I'm just going to read down a little. Does anybody got their Bibles want to read, or am I reading the whole thing? Anybody? No? Okay, I'll read a few verses.
I
We'll
can
see if
read
anybody wants.
story time with
Yeah, I'll
Paul.
pull my Bible up on my phone. Hang on.
I'll just start out. First verse, Matthew 24. Jesus went out and departed from the temple. Disciples came to him to show him the buildings of the temple. And Jesus said unto them, see ye not all these things? Verily I say unto you, there shall not be here left one stone upon another that shall not be thrown down. And there's three questions in this next verse. And he said, as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, his disciples came unto him privately, saying, tell us, when shall these things be, the destruction of the temple? When shall these things be? What shall be the sign of thy coming and of the end of the world? So in this Matthew 24, um, there's three questions being answered. So Jesus answered and said unto them, take heed that no man deceive you. Many shall come, and down through 14, it's pretty simple. People don't have too many arguments about it. My name, they shall come in my name, saying, I'm Christ, deceive many. Ye shall hear wars, rumors of wars, but be not troubled. These things must become to pass, but the end's not yet. Nation shall rise against nation, kingdom against kingdom. There shall be famines, pestilence, earthquakes in divers places. All these are the beginning of sorrows. They shall deliver you up and be afflicted. They shall kill you. You shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake. Then shall many be offended and shall betray one another, hate one another. Many false prophets shall rise, deceive many. Because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. But he that shall endure unto the end, the same shall be saved. Then we slow down in this next part because it gets into where everybody tries to decipher what this abomination is, this desolation, this tribulation. And the gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world for a witness unto all nations, then shall the end come. When you therefore shall see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet stand in the holy place, whoso readeth, let him understand. So as soon as he says this, everybody knows the book of Daniel is the reference point for what he's talking about. So for everybody watching, when you go back and read Daniel, the seventh chapter, actually the second chapter, seventh chapter, eighth chapter, ninth chapter, it's all has points to this reference. So then he says, "Let him which be in Judea flee into the mountains." Any of you guys want to read, or you may keep reading? You may keep
It's up to
reading.
you.
You got it, Kylan. Go ahead. Start at 16.
You said
Down,
16?
yeah, down through 22.
Then let them which be in Judea flee into the mountains. Let him which is on the housetop not come down to take anything out of his house. Neither let him which is in the field return back to take his clothes. And woe unto them that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days. But pray ye that your flight be not in the winter, neither on the Sabbath day. For then shall be the great tribulation, such was not since the beginning of the world to this time, no, nor ever shall be. And except those days should be shortened, there should be no flesh saved. But for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened.
So from 15 to 22, there's a lot of information. Now, and I'm going to pick on Frank just a little bit because I know me and Jamie and Kylan kind of see this pretty much alike. So when you were saying earlier that there's future wrath coming on the whole world, and there's going to be a removing of grace, which we'll leave that one alone, but you're hoping for a pre-trib rapture. Something that I want everybody to remember when you read this, who was this tribulation coming on? And this is just a thought, and you guys give me your opinion. In that 17th, 16th, 17, 18, 19, and 20, he's letting them know, if you're in Judea, flee into the mountains. So that tells me that it wouldn't be a worldwide tribulation because there was a way of escape. There was a way you could flee from it. Now, just saying that briefly, do you see where I would be coming from, Frank, on that? To where Jesus is saying, like, there's an escape, but yet people do say it's a worldwide tribulation.
Yeah, because I know the abomination of desolation is supposed to be, if I'm remembering what I've read about, is going to be kind of like where the person believed to be the Antichrist is going to go to the temple and declare themselves to be God or as God in the temple. And that would be in Judea, right? Because if you're talking about a literal temple being built anyway, that would be where the literal temple building would be in Jerusalem.
And that's
Right.
Even
exactly
if it's a
what
spiritual temple, and if it's a spiritual temple, which we've talked about on here a few times, that's kind of viewed as the spiritual center of Jewish tradition would be still the Jerusalem area. So it almost kind of would make sense that would be the center point of where whoever declares themselves to be, the second coming, it's not.
So read 15 again then. Read 15. Do you got it in front of you?
Yeah.
Yeah. When ye therefore shall see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet stand in the holy place.
So
who shall read it, let him understand.
So that holy place, when you go back in the same chapter to the second verse, he says, "See ye not all these things? Verily I say unto you, there shall not be left here one stone upon another that shall not be thrown down." So in that chapter, he's letting you know the temple's here, everything's here, and that abomination's coming in that very temple that was going to be destroyed. So what they'll say to this is that this ain't the same temple. This is a future temple that's going to be built.
Mm-hmm.
When actually he never alluded to another temple being built in this chapter. He's saying the very temple that I'm telling you is going to be tore down in that temple, in that holy place, the abomination of desolation is going to be set up. Does that make sense? Or I mean, do you see where I'm
Before or after the temple's destroyed?
right? So when he's saying that all these things are going to happen, that third verse, he's asking the
Right.
three questions. When's the temple going to be destroyed? What's the sign of your coming? And the end of the world. So in those three questions, he would have to be, in my opinion, he would have to be talking about the temple that was standing at that time that would be the one to have the abomination of desolation set up. Because
So
he's, go ahead,
to Kylan's point, because you said it had already happened back in 60, 70 AD when the Roman Empire kind of destroyed that.
70 AD,
So
yeah.
at that
When they
time,
sacked the temple, the Roman legionaries
yeah.
actually took their standard and put it in the Holy of Holies,
So
basically
the standard
stating
of Rome
that
was the
Caesar is your
desolation of
king, he is
abomination.
your God. So
Yeah.
Okay. So
that
that
was
was
the abomination. And then, of course, when you actually look at what desolation means, when you brought that corruption into the temple, that is a desolation of the temple.
so
It
when they
lays
put their
desolate on
flag
the
there and
literal
declared
there.
themselves.
What's that, Frank?
So when they put their flag there in the holy place and declared, their sovereignty over the world at that point, that was when this was fulfilled, is what you're
Yeah.
saying.
Well, and to go back to Daniel, he said the daily sacrifice will be ceased,
Yeah.
That's where we was going to go. Yeah,
and
absolutely.
the daily sacrifice hasn't been since Rome come in there.
Okay.
Now, and so, but what you're saying, Frank, so according to what you're saying as far as the future desolation, that's what they
Yeah.
teach is that the third temple will be built and
Yeah.
all
And
this is going to
then
happen
after
down the
that,
road. Yeah. Right.
yeah. And then the Antichrist spirit or the Antichrist person is
Exactly.
supposed to
Yep.
enter the third temple,
Yep.
sacrifice this red heifer, and then
Mm-hmm.
put the ashes on there to sanctify the temple, resume sacrifices, declare themselves God, and that will signal the beginning of all of the pouring out of
So you
the
could
plagues
see,
and everything.
yeah, you could see how the difference in doctrine that like they're so far
Mm-hmm.
apart that if it's already happened, we're so far down the road toward the end that they're way behind looking for another temple, another desolation, another tribulation. I mean, it,
And
it's
that's why it's
it's
going to
it's
come on them unawares.
yeah, yeah.
So, for sake of discussion here, then, because I might not be the only one that's maybe wondering this, somebody on the watching may be wondering as well. If that part has already happened, where are we now? Like, what does that mean for from 70 AD to 2025 going into 2026? We got another, almost 2,000 years of time has
Mm-hmm.
passed. So
Sure.
where does that
That's
put us now when it comes to rectifying Daniel and Revelation and all of this?
that's
So
where
it,
this 1,000
Going
years
down through
comes in.
Matthew, where it starts talking about how the sun, moon, and stars would be darkened and cast down.
yeah.
That's the early reigning church when they were persecuted and executed. So that part's already passed. And you've got the
Well, let's get it. We're still there. I mean, it
yeah,
actually says it. Um, right. Well, we'll just keep reading. 21, 22, except 23. If any man shall say unto you, Lo, or here is Christ, or Lo, there, believe it not. Many false Christ come. Let me see. Let me just read on down. 29, just to get to the point. Immediately after the tribulation of those days, the sun shall be darkened, the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of the heavens shall be shaken. And I'll just stop right there for just a second. There's two totally different views. There's a literalist view, and then there's a spiritual view. How do you see that, Frank? I see it as that 29th verse being a spiritual meaning for the sun, the moon, the stars, not a literal sun stop shining, not a literal moon quit shining, and the stars of heaven aren't going to star fall from the sky. Do you see it as a literal event, or do you believe it's a spiritual meaning behind all that?
Well, since I was small,
Mm-hmm.
and I was brought up in a Lutheran church anyway for the
Mm-hmm.
first while. I mean, it was Baptist the first like 3 or 4 years, and then for whatever reason we just changed over to Lutheran. That it was like a literal thing, like it would be darkness, like the moon, the stars, the sun, all that would stop shining. It would be dark, it'd be cold, it'd be terrifying, so to speak. And that would be one of the biggest symbols that we are now there. And the next thing would be the return. And you better hope that you're called up, because if not, then quite
I
literally, in
got you.
every sense of the word, all hell's going to break loose on earth.
Okay.
And that's
Now,
how it was taught, and that's how it was kind of brought up along the way.
right.
We didn't have a lot of Q&A time with the pastors at that point. There wasn't a whole lot
Yeah.
of interaction
Well,
or anything like that.
pretty much
So I've
all
heard a
hell
lot of
did break
perspective.
loose on the earth if you look at the time frame of history, the Dark Ages, all that. That 1,000 year period, uh, I mean, that if you really just study your Bible about that 1,000 years, and then that 1,000 years that the Holy Roman Emperor ruled, it's considered the Dark Ages from the late, was it 400s to the 1500s to Martin Luther.
Hmm.
There, you had a dark period there, uh, and the
And the
law.
Reformation and all that, yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
It's from Constantine to Luther.
And if you go read, you talk about the Antichrist. Um, if you read that in John, he said, "You hear it will come, and it is already in the world." So it was in the world back then.
Sure. The
Uh,
Antichrist. Yeah.
but I know where people like to go and use that in the fourth chapter of First Thessalonians. He sitteth in the temple of God, shewing himself that he is God. Well, if you'll what y'all's talking about, as if you go from after the New Testament, in the New Testament and the apostles' writings, that body is a temple of God. And
Sure.
what he's showing here, that's going to be a man sitting in the temple of God, sitting in the body. He's going to have a body just like us. That's why Jesus was made flesh and blood. For much as then his children are partakers of flesh and blood, he likewise took part of the same, that through death he might destroy him that hath the power of death. That is the devil. He's a man of flesh and blood, just like we are. That's why
Sure.
Jesus came, to destroy that power, to overcome in the flesh.
Quick, on that, what we just read in the 29th verse, or the 29th verse, when I asked you if you thought it was natural or spiritual, there's a colon right after the last word in that paragraph, in that sentence.
Yeah.
The very next part starts out, and then shall appear the sign, not of his coming, but what? The sign of the Son of Man in heaven. So flip the page back to the third verse. They said, "Tell us, when shall be these things, the destruction of the temple?" And these are all in order. The destruction of the temple, when shall these things be? And what shall be the sign of thy coming and the end of the world? Well, that destruction of the temple and the tribulation was to give the sign that the Son of Man is in heaven. That temple couldn't be destroyed until the Messiah comes. So when you go back to Daniel 9, it talks about the temple, it talks about the Messiah, the temple being destroyed, and even the tribulation teachers go back to Daniel 9 to bring it all together. So my question is, if the tribulation being fulfilled was the sign of the Son of Man in heaven, that he was in heaven, makes perfect sense, because they just asked him, when's the temple going to be destroyed? What's the sign of thy coming? What's and the end of the world? So when that temple was destroyed, that was the sign in the 30th verse that Jesus ascended back to heaven. So that's why, in my opinion, the way Jamie and Colin are saying about the past tense tribulation makes more sense, that that sign was a sign for the unbelieving Jews. because they just got destroyed. They just got killed. Their temple just got massacred. They ate their own children in 70, between 70 and 73 AD, and their last stronghold where they got overtook. When all that happened, that was the Jews' sign that Jesus came. He's ascended into heaven because Daniel in the ninth chapter confirms all this and breaks it down. That's where they try to confuse everybody with the 490 years.
Yeah, and
And
if you
and
want to technically look at it, uh, there's still an abomination that stands there today. Of course, that's not the abomination Jesus is talking about, but there is
right,
an abomination that stands right there where the temple's at today.
The Dome of the Rock.
it's
Yeah,
yeah, it's still considered desolate as far as the temple's concerned. Yeah, it's still an abomination. Um, But and so and just remember when he said we just read it in Daniel, and we're not going to get far tonight. And I know we had some guys that were supposed to be on with us, like I said, Miguel and Steven. They'll maybe we'll do it another night, but we're just kind of laying the beginning conversation for it. That 15th verse of Matthew 24, when he quotes what was spoken to Daniel, now we'll go back to Daniel 9 and just go with where Jesus is talking about. Um, And this is where they go to confuse people. And I'm not saying they do it on purpose, but in their teaching, they confuse people with the 490 years. Um, and there's a lot from the 24th verse all the way down to 27. There's a lot of discussion in it. But the one thing I wanted you to think about is so that 15th verse of Matthew 24 lines up with Daniel's prophecy in Daniel 9, 24 and 25 that there was going to be a restoring of the temple. When Jesus was there, he was standing before the restored, rebuilt temple that Daniel was talking about. And this is what's hard for them to get around, is they want to say that the temple that's going to be destroyed is in the future, it's another one, when they completely ignore that Daniel 9 was talking about the destruction of the second temple. And I just a couple verses. So Daniel 9:24 reading down. 70 weeks, which both sides agree on is 490 years.
you have this.
70 weeks are determined upon thy people and upon thy holy city. So right off the bat, you have um, a bullseye. You have a direction toward what's coming. Instead of being worldwide, it was on the certain people and it was on the holy city, which lines up with Jamie and Kylan on their thoughts of the Great Tribulation that happened, the 7 Year War between the
Well,
Jews and Rome.
well, here's a question I like to ask.
Go ahead.
What was the temple for? The the what Moses, the tabernacle, and the temple that Solomon built, the temple that Zerubbabel built. What was they for? What was the purpose? What was the service of
For the
that
priests,
temple?
the priests and the sacrifice.
So what would and so there was a changing of this, right? When Jesus come on the scene, the change of the priesthood,
That's good.
uh, the sacrifices, which God had no pleasure in. So what would this out in the future? What would be the purpose of it? Because you would be bringing in something that would be eliminating what Jesus done. Because Jesus done this to eliminate it. He was the end of the law, and those temples were part of the law.
Would you say they would be going back under the law of Moses if they did that,
Sure,
Jamie? Yeah. And
that would
Paul
be a
taught that if you go back under the law, Christ shall profit you nothing. So it's a strange doctrine when you hear him teaching that. That's a good point, Jamie.
well. I mean, people get excited about this red heifer. You ever talk about the red heifer? He only talks about the red heifer one time, and it's in Deuteronomy, and it's an oblation under the law. And then you get into Hebrews 9. He said the offering of the red or not red heifer, offering of heifers and ashes. I think
Right.
he said,
Yeah.
which can never bring the comers unto perfect.
Yeah.
I think it's right there at 9, Waylon. 9,
Yeah.
13, 11, down to about 15 probably.
Let's see. I just started 11. Hebrews 9:11. But Christ being come a high priest of good things to come by a greater and more perfect tabernacle, not made with hands, that is to say, not of this building, neither
That's
by the
him.
blood of, right,
What was the purpose of this third one? We need this third one for.
right. 12th verse. Neither by the blood of goats and calves, but by his own blood, he entered into the holy place once, having obtained eternal redemption for us. For if the blood of bulls and goats and the ashes of an heifer sprinkling the unclean sanctifieth to the purifying of the flesh, how much more shall the blood of Christ, who through the eternal Spirit offered himself without spot to God, purge your conscience from dead works to serve the living God?
So they're getting excited over this red heifer for nothing.
Yeah, they're shedding blood that can't profit them anything, and it's yeah. And you know what's wild is the Western Christian world has jumped on this wagon,
Yeah.
and yeah, build the temple, but so how can you cheerlead to build a temple that's going backwards under the blood of animals? It doesn't make any sense. Um, that's why I think their theology is way off on that. Well,
That
matter of
might
fact,
be
where
part of the
Jamie's,
great deception they talk about. Be
I
mindful
think
of
it's part
things,
of it.
not be
Yeah,
deceived.
that's
Because
good.
the ones that are pushing hard for the heifer are the Orthodox, or supposedly Orthodox Jewish over there that are really pushing hard
Yeah.
for getting that over. And they don't acknowledge that Jesus was the Messiah. A lot of
No.
them are still waiting.
Uh-uh.
So in their mind, it hasn't been fulfilled yet. They're kind of denying the greater part of what we already know.
Absolutely.
And that's the purpose of this. It really that's what an antichrist does. It denies Christ, which it also denies that temple, what he said would already happen. That they denying that Christ has come in the flesh. That is the great deception. That's
It
what an
is.
antichrist does.
And that's what, well, I won't, that's another subject. Back
That
on
may be
Daniel.
something to talk about the antichrist. A
Yeah,
whole different
you're right.
subject on that right there.
That Daniel 9 again, real quick, and we'll just read through it fast. Daniel 9:24, 70 weeks are determined upon thy people, key word, upon thy people, and upon thy holy city, to finish the transgression, to make an end of sins, to make reconciliation for iniquity, to bring in everlasting righteousness, to seal up the vision and prophecy, to anoint the most holy. There's a lot to study in that.
Oh yeah, the right there is the main thing to make a reconciliation for iniquity.
Yes,
Who else was that?
that's Jesus.
Jesus.
Absolutely.
Who
Yeah,
brought in everlasting righteousness? Jesus.
Jesus. And then the next verse, know therefore and understand. The same thing he's saying in Matthew 24, whoso readeth, let him understand. He says here, know therefore and understand that from the going forth of the commandment to restore and to build Jerusalem
Right. And you got to
unto,
understand that ninth chapter, Daniel is in a tribulation.
yes,
He is in a shoot, what's that called? A captivity where the first temple's already been destroyed by the people he's been captive by.
yeah, burned with fire,
And
desecrated,
he's talking
yeah.
about the restoration of it. It had to lay waste for 70 years before they went back. And Cyrus uh, made a decree that the spirit of the gods had stirred him up to build a temple again at Jerusalem,
God
which was
used him
the
to, yeah.
Medes and Persian Empire.
So know therefore and understand from the going forth the commandment to restore and build Jerusalem unto the Messiah the Prince, there's Christ, shall be 7 weeks and threescore and 2 weeks, 483 years. The street shall be built again, and the wall even in troublous times. That's the second temple. That's the temple that Jesus was standing in front of, that he said, and see you not all these things, they're all going to be not one stone left upon
And
another.
if you go back and read Esther, Nehemiah, what's that other one right there?
Ezra.
Ezra. All of them are talking about the rebuilding of the temple, and it was pretty
Yeah.
much they had war while they were trying to rebuild it.
Hmm.
Yeah,
I
they're
think
carrying the
Nehemiah
sword
actually
and the
talks
hammer.
about the wall being built again. They were building the wall, and they had a weapon in one hand and a tool in the other
Yeah. And that was being fulfilled to restore that temple, the same temple that
unto
was going to be
Messiah.
destroyed. Yeah, unto the Messiah. Then it says in 26th verse, and after 62 weeks shall Messiah be cut off, which he was, but not for himself. Now here's how Matthew 24 comes together. So Messiah was cut off, right? He was cut off before the temple was destroyed. Then it's because that he died way or 33 decades before the temple was destroyed. Okay, so and after 62 weeks shall Messiah be cut off, not for himself, and the people of the prince, the lowercase prince. The 25th verse has the uppercase prince. Jesus is the true prince. Then it says the people of the prince, the small p, that shall come shall destroy the city and the sanctuary. So in Daniel, he's prophesying of the city and the sanctuary being rebuilt. And then he's saying in the same chapter that the same one that's going to be rebuilt is going to be destroyed, which would have to be what Jesus is talking about in Matthew 24, because that temple was not yet destroyed and he was not yet cut off. You see how those two go together? The timelines, there's no way to separate it. So he says, Messiah shall be cut off, but not for himself. The people of the prince that shall come shall destroy the city and the sanctuary, and the end thereof shall be with a flood. Well, there was armies that came in, Roman armies that came in and destroyed them. And unto the end of the war, desolations are determined. Now, this is where they go and they try to bring the Antichrist in here. And they'll use this last verse, the 27th verse. It's the only place they squeeze the Antichrist in. And he shall confirm the covenant with many for 1 week. Now, in my opinion, that he is not the Antichrist. That's what they'll tell you that he is. But that he, Jamie, who do you believe that he is?
I believe it's God confirming what he said he would do.
Kylan? Who's the he in the first sentence of 27?
I'll read it for me one more time.
Oh, you ain't got it for and he shall confirm the covenant with many for 1 week. That's that 7-year period. Who's the he that's going to confirm the covenant with many for 1 week?
God.
Okay. So, Frank, they're going to say that the he that made a covenant, confirmed a covenant, is the Antichrist that's going to break that covenant in the midst of that 7 years. That's what they'll teach, that it's in the future, it's a future Antichrist, it's a future covenant, and that covenant's going to be broken by the
But
Antichrist.
anytime you read the word covenant, that's a God's promise. And up above there, he said he 70 weeks are determined. Well, that 70th week, he said he shall confirm the covenant 1 week. All those
Yes.
weeks, God determined it.
Yeah.
And if you go up there, I think it talks about his covenant. He will smile on Israel again. All that is God's covenant. His covenant will he not break nor alter the things that's gone out of his mouth.
No, okay, so since Jamie said that, when you go back up in that same chapter to the 15th and 16th verse, it's going to talk about thy people again. Remember how we just read in the 24th verse what Jamie talked about, that covenant of 70 weeks, that what God determined was upon thy people, right? They'll say it's worldwide. Now, if you stay in that same chapter and go to 16th verse, O Lord, according to all thy righteousness, I beseech thee, let thine anger and fury be turned away from the city Jerusalem, showing you where God's wrath was toward, city Jerusalem, thy holy mountain, Brother Jamie, thy holy mountain, because of our sins and for the iniquities of our fathers, to make an end of their iniquities, to make an end of sins. That's what he said in the 24th verse. What happens? Uh, Jerusalem and thy people are become a reproach to all that are about us. Now therefore, O Lord God, hear the prayer of thy servant and his supplication, and cause thy face to shine upon thy sanctuary that is desolate for the Lord's sake. So Jamie said Daniel was in that desolate place right then. God was showing him it was going to be built again and then destroyed again. But the ones that the wrath was upon thy people, which was the sins and iniquities of Israel. They'll make you think that it's talking about a world wrath upon the whole world, and all the goblins are going to be loosed and come on the
Yeah.
world in the
And
latter
then
day.
that place over there, he said, not where he said about the flesh. They about annihilated Israel. That's what he's talking about. They about annihilated them. What was left was scattered. He said, well, I think
Yeah,
it's what he said. He should be carried captive. What was not trodden down should be carried captive by sword. That's why they were in Europe and all over the world,
yeah.
because they were carried captive out of there. That's why Hitler done away with so many of them. They were, but they about annihilated them then.
And that 27th verse where Jamie just said it was God's covenant, and that last verse of the chapter, he shall confirm the covenant with many for 1 week, 7 years. And in the midst of the week, he shall cause the sacrifice and oblation to cease. Here comes Daniel, the abomination of desolation. And for the overspreading of abominations, he shall make it desolate. There's your abomination of desolation. Even unto the consummation, it's going to be finished, it's going to be fulfilled. And that determined, God's covenant determined, shall be poured upon the desolate. Like Jamie said, all throughout the old scripture, every time Israel was corrected and put in bondage, you can read where their land was made desolate over and over and over again. So yeah, I definitely believe it's talking about a specific region, a specific people, a specific temple that was past tense. But they will. So everybody watch when you go back and you hear their doctrine on a future Antichrist, tribulation, covenant, Antichrist, they're going to go to that 27th verse of Daniel. They have to. Without that 27th verse of the ninth chapter of
Well,
Daniel,
that overspread abomination, Daniel mentions it again in the 11th chapter.
does
Where
he?
if I'm, yeah, and that's where he talks about the oblation and the daily sacrifice received.
Oh yeah. Where is that?
And
Uh,
they've not had a daily sacrifice since that happened.
There it is. Well, the arm shall stand on his part. They shall pollute the sanctuary of strength. This is Daniel 11:31. They shall pollute the sanctuary of strength and shall take away the daily sacrifice, and they shall place the abomination that maketh desolate. It's yeah, and that happened after Jesus was
Ain't there
crucified.
down there it said the daily sacrifice?
Oh, happens again in the scatter the power of the holy people. Was that in the 12th chapter?
Yeah.
Um 12 and 7. And I heard a man clothed in linen that was upon the waters of the river, and he held up his right hand, his left hand unto heaven, and swear by him that liveth forever and ever, that it shall be. Here's your 3.5 years. Remember, in the midst of that 7 years, he would cause the sacrifice to. So it says, it shall be for a time. There's your year. Times is 2 years, and a half year. There's your 3.5 years. And when he shall have accomplished to scatter the power of the holy people, all these things shall be finished. So it was upon a certain people, and it was
Yeah.
in that 3.5 years that temple was desecrated.
And wait a minute, historically, we go back to that first part of the first 3.5 years. Israel held their own with them. The Jews held their own with Rome until they finally came in and conquered and destroyed that temple. And then the
Sure.
last part, that last 3.5, they traded it down.
Yeah.
But that during that time, you go back in Daniel, uh, that's when Vespasian was right there. He had to go back to Rome to take over Rome. Uh, and I think it talked about in Daniel, there were three plucked up
Mm-hmm.
before him. But there
Yep.
was a year, I think it was either 68 or 69, it talked about, if you go back in history, it talked about the four emperors, the year that the four emperors ruled. And Vespasian was the last part of that. And it's
Yes.
then on down there, it said the people of the prince, which was Titus, his son, shall cut. What is a prince? It's the son of a king. He
That's
came and he
exactly right.
finished the work that Vespasian started and actually took that out. But I want to show something about them standards. It's in Psalms, Waylon, is
Yeah.
it 76?
Right before I get it, that place you wanted here in Daniel 12, the 11th verse. And from the time that the daily sacrifice shall be taken away, and the abomination that maketh desolate set up, there shall be a
See,
thousand two
Jesus,
hundred and ninety
prior
days.
to
That's
that, when
three
he
and a
done,
half
when he
years.
done, he ended those sacrifices really become obsolete at Jesus, but they continued on because they didn't see Jesus. But God stopped them from doing it because he wanted them to recognize his son. Why would they bring that back? So you can see that daily sacrifice. They've never done it since. That's when it was
Yeah.
stopped.
Where'd you want Psalms what?
Psalms, is it 74? 1 to there, where it talks about that ensign.
Uh, I'm not sure.
Psalms 74 1. Heathen shall rage in the sanctuary.
74:1. Oh God, why hast thou cast us off forever? Why do thine anger smoke against the sheep of thy pasture? Oh, yeah, yeah. Remember thy congregation which thou hast purchased of old, the rod of thine inheritance which thou hast redeemed, this Mount Zion wherein thou hast dwelt. Lift up thy feet unto the perpetual desolations, even all that the enemy had done wickedly in the sanctuary. Thine enemies roar in the midst of thy congregations. They set up their ensigns for signs.
And you can go back and read history. They set up them Roman standards
Yeah.
in the sanctuary. That's what an ensign is. It's a standard flag.
Yep. Absolutely.
Hey
And
guys,
and
I'm gonna have to bounce a little early today.
okay, yeah, go ahead. We're almost done. We're almost at an hour anyway. Thank you for being with us tonight, brother.
Is he a
Yep, yep.
Buddhist now?
Take it easy.
And then Psalm 79. O God, the heathen are come unto thine entrance, inheritance, thy holy temple. They have defiled, they have laid Jerusalem on heaps. So I mean, over and over again, Jerusalem experienced desolation, tribulation, and that's the big difference. They teach that it's a world tribulation on everybody. We teach that it did happen on Jerusalem, it happened on the Jews, it happened for a certain period of time, and that was the sign that
Now, don't
Jesus
get
came
us
and
wrong.
was
There's something
rejected.
coming on the world.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We're not saying that there's no such thing as a tribulous times
It's called
or
hell.
tribulation. Yeah, I mean it's um that yeah, there's a lot. I mean, there's a lot to talk about. And that's why I was hoping the other new guys would come on to see where they were where they were coming from. But um so just real quick on that, back in Matthew 24, and you can tell me what you think. Where's that at, Jamie? Where he said was that Luke 20? Where he said, "When you see Jerusalem compassed about with armies,"
Yeah, there's 19. There's one in 19, and there's one in Luke 21 too.
and
Luke,
huh?
there's one in Luke 19. The other one's Luke 21.
Let's see. Well, Luke 21 is good because it's the same. It's saying the same thing as Matthew 24. Luke 21 and 20. And this is the same thing as Matthew 24, just a different writer. And when you shall see Jerusalem compassed with armies, then know that the desolation thereof is nigh. Now, if Jesus was saying that, he would have to be that desolation, the abomination of desolation spoken by Daniel the prophet of the destruction of the temple, if he's saying you're going to see Jerusalem compassed about with armies, it would have to be on that temple that was standing at that present time.
Yeah.
So he says, yeah. Um, so he says, know that the desolation thereof is nigh. So he's even given you a pinpoint in a time period that this abomination of desolation spoken by Daniel the prophet's coming. You're going to see the armies of,
1942 to 44.
is that the other one? Okay, yeah, we'll read that one next. So 21, let them, remember what he said, Matthew 24, if you're in, to flee into the mountains? He says the
Mhm.
same thing. Then let them which are in Judea flee into the mountains. Why? Get away from Jerusalem, because it's getting ready to get ransacked. It's getting ready to go down. Let them which are in the midst of it depart out. Well, if it was worldwide, they couldn't escape it. So he says, and let not them that are in the countries enter therein too. For these be the days of vengeance. So Luke calls it vengeance instead of great tribulation. Um, and that all things that are written may be fulfilled. It was written in the book of Daniel. And then the next, 23 through 25. Woe unto them that are with child and would get suck in those days, for there shall be great distress in the land. Instead of tribulation, he calls it great distress. And wrath upon, here it comes, this people. Again, thy people and Daniel, this people. They shall fall by the edge of the sword. They shall be led away captive, like Jimmy was saying, into all nations. Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles until the times of the Gentiles be fulfilled. So the Gentiles had to fulfill what was determined upon the desolate in Daniel 9:27. Um, and there shall be now, and then again it goes back to what we were talking about, 25. There shall be signs in the sun, the moon, the stars, and upon the earth distress of nations with perplexity, sea of the waves roaring. So that's when they'll go back, like you said. It's a literal tribulation, the sun, the moon. So in my opinion, that when all this happened to Israel and the church, there was a persecution of the Jews, the church, everything was going on at that time. That when God's people were scattered, what happens to light when it scatters? It diminishes. What happens to God's people? The power of God's people, when you scatter it, the power diminishes. I believe that the sun, the moon, the stars all represented God's glory, God's people. And when they were killed, destroyed, and dispersed and cast out, there was a dimness, there was a darkness because the
And you notice
Gentiles.
under the law, they went by the moon.
Say it again?
Under the law, they went by the moon.
Yeah, yeah.
And, well, there should be signs in the moon, signs of the sun. What did the sun represent? Jesus.
Jesus. Yeah.
New Testament. Honey, there
They
were signs
crucified
on
him.
both the moon. There were signs in the New Testament. There were signs in the Old Testament.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's exactly right.
but that 19 and 42, Waylon,
Oh, 19 and 42.
down to 44.
Uh, yeah, let's see. Yeah, I'll do 41 too. And when Jesus was come near, he beheld the city and wept over it, saying, if thou hadst known, even thou, at least in this thy day, the things which belong unto thy peace, but now they are hid from thine eyes. For the days shall come upon thee, that thine enemies shall cast a trench about thee, compass thee round, and keep thee on every side, shall lay thee even with the ground, and thy children within thee. They shall not leave in thee one stone upon another, because thou knewest not the time of thy visitation. So over and over, he's telling them destruction's coming, destruction's coming.
Yeah.
Um, I know it's late. I want to hit one quick one in. Remember what it just said in we just read in Luke 21 about until the times of the Gentiles are fulfilled.
Mhm.
Um, God used the Gentiles to bring that desolation upon them. And is it a yeah 11? Um, and it goes back to where they're going to try to throw that 3.5 years at you. They're going to keep going back to that. And the Revelations 11, we're not even going to try to read it all. There's a lot of discussion and thoughts on what all this is, but I just want to read the first 3 verses. And there was given me a reed like unto a rod, and the angel stood, saying, Rise and measure the temple of God, the altar, and them that worship therein. But the court which is without the temple leave out, measure it not, for it is given to the Gentiles. And the holy city shall they tread under foot 40 and 2 months. There's 3.5 years. Jesus was warning them. The Gentiles are coming in to surround you, to desolate you, to put up their ensigns in the temple. And all that came to pass. But everybody wants to take it because it's mentioned in Revelations, and they want to put it all out in the future. And when you do that, you have to ignore everything that's already happened in the past. So there's
Dude, I
so
just got
much.
something on that, Waylon. Just I've always known it, but that 11th chapter on there talked about the 2 witnesses.
Yeah,
Uh, it prophesied of those days, honey. What did those 2 witnesses, those 2 bodies, the law and the prophets, and then Jesus in the New Testament, the
that's
sun and the
good.
moon.
That's good. Boy, there's a lot in that 11th chapter.
Oh yeah,
My goodness.
that
Oh.
which are not depart from thee.
Guys, I've enjoyed it. We just hit an hour, and we just really, or just got started in on it. If anybody has, oh no, do you know what I did?
Hmm.
I didn't get any comments because I had it on private chat. I'm such a dummy, guys. I'm sorry. Sister Teresa, Brother Danny, Brother Anthony, Brother Wilcox, Teresa. Oh, guys, I'm sorry. I didn't get any comments because I had it on the private chat. Anyway, who's Anthony? Oh, there's Anthony Whitfield. Is that your? Uh,
My first cousin.
yeah. Is he still preaching? How's he doing?
He's doing good. I seen him Thursday,
Bless
whatever
God,
Thursday.
you better be preaching, Anthony. I don't know if he is or not. Last time I seen him was Cracker Barrel. Brother Wilcox, love you guys. Sorry I didn't get to any comments. My bad. I was wondering why I didn't see anything. I had it in private chat. How did I know? Oh, okay. Oh, since he said that, I apologize for those not getting alerts. Please like, share, tell somebody, because for some reason people aren't getting the alerts. But here's a quick one. Well, not quick. We'll read this one. Let me get ahead of the subject, but let me just get straight. I'm not pre-trib, but surely you do believe that wormwood and all that isn't spiritual, or Jesus splitting the eastern skies isn't spiritual. Every eye will see him, as in the days of Noah, so shall it be in the days of the Son of Man. But I get to 70 AD and agree. Oh, that's good. Second coming of
Really,
Jesus. All right. She's,
it's
I mean,
spiritual and
yeah,
natural.
yeah, absolutely. Describing on what the tears I've said previously. Yeah, no, I agree with you on that. It's good. But yeah, like I said, I apologize for not getting the comments as they came in live. That was my fault. If Doc Truman would have been here tonight, he would have caught it. Anyway, love you guys. I don't even think I'm gonna do final thoughts unless you guys got anything in particular you want to say. You
No,
guys
this was
good?
good. I learned a lot on this because I think based on our discussion, my brain is probably mixing up the tribulation with the end of days, which is a little different. I think when they
Different
talk
time
about in
period.
Revelation, the end of times
And that's
versus
what
the Great
Jesus,
Tribulation.
yeah, and that's what Jesus, those 3 questions that Waylon kept reading. He said, "What shall be the sign of thy coming, or when shall these things be? Destruction of the temple, the sign of thy coming, and the end of the world." The
Yeah,
very next thing Jesus said, "Take heed that no man deceive you." People are fouled up on those 3 questions.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely.
I
Yeah,
mean,
and for the record,
it's
like
easy to
Jamie's,
get confused on that. I mean, and what people don't realize, it is it from when Jesus is telling it and when Daniel's telling it, it is a futuristic date from their time frame. But from our time frame, it's a past. Uh, it's past. I mean, we've had 2,000 years. Really, the thing that the two events that we're actually looking for is the the devil, the worldwide empire, the like you said, the worldwide empire, the devil coming, the man of sin coming on the scene, and the second coming of Christ. That's the two things that we're actually looking for.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, look at this guy. Who's this guy coming in at the end of the broadcast? Oh my gosh.
Hey man, sorry, I had to help my wife clean up, man. I didn't realize it was gonna take me so long.
Boy, oh boy. We'll have to deal with Brother Stephen behind the scenes after we go off the air. But no, we'll do it again one night. And just before we go off live, because we did hit an hour, did you get to catch any of it, or did you just now just jump on?
I'm just now hopping on. I know you guys are talking about
Okay.
the tribulation.
So
Do
just real
that.
quick, your viewpoint in a nutshell. It don't just like 30 seconds or a minute. Do you believe that the what's called the Great Tribulation, do you believe that's in the future? Do you believe it's happening now, or do you believe it's past?
To be honest with you, I would have to read more of John's Revelation.
Okay.
But from
How you've been
what
taught.
what I believe, um, not the tribulation, but as far as the two, are you familiar with the two witnesses?
Yeah, Brother Jamie just hit on that right
I
at
don't
the end. Yeah.
believe I don't believe the two witnesses have come yet.
Okay. You believe that's in the future.
I believe that's later
Okay. Gotcha.
because we don't have anything in the word that shows us they came.
And don't even start because that's what you wanted to vote for in the poll. You're trying to squeeze it in. I see what you're doing. That's good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, can
Yeah.
I ask a
Um,
question? Who do you believe those two witnesses are?
who are you asking?
That brother broke.
Brother
Oh, you
Stephen.
asking me?
Yeah.
Um, I believe as I read in the book of Revelation, the two witnesses are the two witnesses. The ones that the Lord says were the two witnesses, and I don't know word for word where the two witnesses came from. I just got done reading it the other day. I skimmed through it, but you know, I know that they
You're kind
have
of
the
unsure.
ability. They have the ability, and the Lord had given them authority to, basically call down fire and do other things that a lot of other people can't do. So I know that, and I believe the word did say that they were two virgins, right?
I think you're quoting Revelations 11. I don't think it mentions anything about the virgins in that one, but the
Okay.
two witnesses is Revelations 11.
But I
So you
agree
believe
with
they're
you.
coming
They
in the
are
future.
virgins.
Not exactly sure who they are, but you believe they've
Yeah,
got certain powers.
I don't believe they came yet.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah,
Now,
the
Waylon,
church
you're
I
not
was
going to
thinking
tell me
about,
you
I
think
grew
they
up
came
in.
already, are you?
Yeah, yeah, actually,
Yeah.
Um,
Jamie, or I didn't want to cut you off. Was you going to say something on that?
I was agreeing with Waylon. I do believe
Yeah.
in. I mean, we could get into what Jesus said, but I that's a later discussion.
Oh, it takes and this would take a long
Yeah.
time. This was just the very end of our discussion tonight. That didn't really.
Yeah. I mean, we could talk
Yeah.
backstage when the live's off too.
Um, but yeah, we'll do another poll. We'll do another vote. If anybody wants to hear anything before we go off tonight, let us know. These brothers on here, if you know them, contact them, private message them, whatever. And if you want to come on the broadcast, brothers, please let us know. We'll get you on. As Brother Steven can tell, it was pretty easy. We put you on the group. You just click a button. He even came in late tonight, which we'll punish him for that later. But he came in late, and all you gotta do is click the link. It's easy. So, but yeah, and you guys want to say anything else before we go off?
Yeah, we're gonna
No?
uh we're gonna have to give Miguel a beating. He hasn't been on one yet.
Yeah. Oh, you can just. Oh, that's true. You're right. We will have to get him for that. If anybody knows Brother Miguel, do we have any more information on him?
No, I
No?
think.
Okay. Well, tell him to get his tail on the broadcast. We love you. Appreciate you guys. Even though Brother Stephen was late, thanks for being late. It's better than never. We'll do another poll next week. Let us know if you want to talk about anything. Until next time, you've been watching Christian Crossfire. I am your host without Doc Truman tonight, the Waylon Fortner, the Red Rooster. Thank you, Brother Frank, Brother Stephen, Brother Jamie Adams. We'll do it again next time. Love you guys. Share with somebody. Tell somebody.